Good morning. I'm going to take a few moments to go through these three laptops I have here on my desk. Apologize for the mess. That's a Dell m4800, an HP zbook15, and a Lenovo w530. This is my current machine that I use every day. It is my main system. My company tried out the w540, not impressed, so we're trying out a couple other machines, namely the HP zbook15 and the Dell m4800. Now, just to kind of go over, this video will be a bit choppy. I apologize. I'm probably going to record a few different segments and then combine it together. So, first thing we're going to do is go over the external aspects of each system, compare and contrast. I'll go ahead and boot it up and go over the screen. So this is the end of the first part. As they sit right now, they're whole. I haven't taken them apart yet, so give me just a few moments while I do that. Thank you. Alright, so I've gone ahead and flipped them all over, as you can see here. I guess I'll start with the Lenovo. With the Lenovo 530, you only get two little back panels, which is pretty common to older laptops that I'm familiar with, at least. It gives you access to your RAM slots and your hard drive bays. If you turn, well, before you turn it over, there's a couple of screw holes. There's one here and one right here. I'm not going to undo those. And that gives you access to take off the keyboard, which gives you access to the other two RAM slots. Those are under the keyboard here, and that's all you have as far as expansion on the w530 and customization. I know the w540 has a bit more, but really not a lot more, to be perfectly honest, as far as expansions. This is Lenovo's battery. So when you, I'm not going to put it on because I have it apart right now, but this piece right here sticks out behind the laptop, which I find annoying because I'm constantly bumping it or catching on stuff when I'm trying to put it away. That's the HP battery, and that's the Dell battery. The Dell and the Lenovo batteries are both 9-cell. I don't know what the HP is off the top of my head. I didn't order the HP, my CIO did, so I'll have to check. I think it might be just a 6-cell or an 8-cell, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. I'll look that up here in the next little bit once my computer's back together. Going over to the HP, this is probably my favorite design. Is you literally just flick that switch. There's no screws holding the back on. This is a metal panel. You can hear the tin, and you get a lot of expansion here. First things first, this here is the back of the CD-ROM. To remove the CD-ROM, there's a screw. Let me see here, right here, yep, that was it. That's the screw. This is a hard drive. It's toolless, so just a little switch to put it in. Now you can screw it in place to make it more secure, especially if you're shipping it, but if you swap this out often, having a toolless hard drive is really nice. You have two RAM slots here. You have an M-SATA slot here. You also have you have the M-SATA here, and you have your expansion for a WLAN card here, like mobile broadband. There we go, zoom in a little bit better. So those expansions are all right here, easy to access it, easy to get to. To get to the other two RAM slots, what you do is you undo the screw for the CD-ROM, you slide that out, and then you push on the back of the CD-ROM, or not the CD-ROM, the keyboard, and it pops out. It's not very easy to get out. You have to give it a lot of force. I was afraid I was going to break it, to be perfectly honest. That's how much force I had to put on it to push it out. Go ahead, and then the cover just slides right back on. It's easier when you're using two hands, so I'll wait till I have a second hand to do that. Now for the Dell, To remove the back cover, you remove the battery, which I've done here, obviously. That's this right here, pops up. Then there's a screw here and a screw here, and then the whole panel just slides. I'm going to set this down. I need 2 hands. Slides back. There we go. And it just comes right off. Alright, and you see, have access to everything under here. You have your 2 RAM slots. You have your M-SATA, yeah, this is the wireless LAN or WAN slot, as well as M-SATA. And this is a 1/2 MCPP. I'm not quite sure. I think this is just looks like exactly the same slot as the M-SATA, so probably another wireless LAN card here, mobile broadband. This is the back of CD-ROM, screw right there to slide it out. I'm going to be doing that to replace it with a additional hard drive, so you get 2 hard drives. Oh, the hard drive is here. There's a little screw there. Pull that switch, hard drive pops out, which is accessed from the side there. See that panel? So I'll go ahead. Oh, and to access the additional slots, let me turn this over. Oh, and the panel for the Dell is metal as well, which is nice. I like that. Oh, alright, so to access the RAM, this thing here, this lining of the keyboard actually just snaps out. You have to be real careful, otherwise you will break it. But it literally just lifts right out. It's hard to do with just one hand. And then right in this area you can actually see the RAM slots, and there's just a couple of screws that are covered up here. I think there's 3 or 4, just like one here, a couple here. And then the whole keyboard just kind of lifts up and out, and you have access to those additional RAM slots. So if anybody's wondering, this does lift out. Oh, it started to lift it out, but anyways, so that trim comes out, and then you unscrew the keyboard, and then the keyboard comes out. I kind of like this design a little bit better than the HP, where you have to push on the back of it and it is snapped into place. So just because I felt like I was going to break the keyboard, so I'll go ahead, put them back together, kind of go around the ports on them again to compare it, because I haven't done the ports on the HP yet. So let me put them back together and do that. So just going from the different sides of each laptop, I have them stacked on top of each other for easy comparison. Bottom is Lenovo, middle is HP, top is Dell. So as you can see, the Lenovo and the Dell both have latches to undo the tops, lift up. The HP does not. It's just held together with the springs. Also on the front of the HP you have your indicator lights. Their lights are easy to see. What they are is not. So let's see if I can focus. Oh, that didn't work. So back up. So the outside one is Wi-Fi, power, charging, and then hard drive. So you can see the lights pretty easily, but again, what they are is not as easy to see from the, when you're just using it. You kind of have to either just know what they are, or kind of tilt it up and look, which I'm just glad that it has lights. The 540 had 0 indicator lights at all. Let me go ahead and spin these. Alright, that's a lot of weight. Alright, so with the Lenovo, here's your Wi-Fi switch, FireWire, USB 2.0 port. It's got 2 USB 2.0 ports, your USB 3, your 2 video outs, and the exhaust port. HP, it's a USB 2 exhaust port, which I don't know if you can see in this light, I apologize. And then you have a Thunderbolt, that is a video, standard video display port out, and a super speed USB, so that's a USB 3 there. And this is for a expansion card. So And come up to the Dell, you have two USB 3s, your headphone and microphone. You have additional indicator lights, as I've mentioned before, your CD-ROM drive, and this is a smart card expansion slot. So there's nothing installed here, it just is there for expansion. And then your SD card. Let's spin them again. Sorry again for the shaky cam. Gotta use two hands. I don't have a camera setup. If anyone wants to donate a camera setup, I will gladly take it. Alright, so again with Lenovo, this is a powered USB. This is the battery sticking out, as you can see here. Charging port, exhaust port. So you just have one port on the back of the Lenovo Hewlett-Packard. This is a USB 3, and this is your power and your Ethernet. So no video ports on the back. The Dell probably has my favorite back pane, just because both the Lenovo and the HP have their batteries in the back, so it reduces the number of ports you can have. For the Dell, you have your exhaust port, Ethernet, one video out, one USB, another video out, which is your HDMI, and then your power here on the side with another exhaust port. The Dell is the only one with two exhaust fans, which I discussed in my other video, which I'll show you here in a minute. Definitely keeps the Dell significantly cooler when I'm stress testing, and a lot more stable. The Dell has a Wi-Fi card, just like the Lenovo here on the side, but the Lenovo's is on the other side. So here's your Wi-Fi switch, hard drive bay, two more super speed USBs, and a video display. So the Dell has the most number of video outs, as well as the most number of USBs, with 4 USB 3s and 3 video outs. So that's definitely a bonus in my eyes on this, but it does not have the Thunderbolt where the HP does. HP, here's your little memory card slot, headphone jack, USB, a more standard size and style CD-ROM video out. The Lenovo on this side has memory card reader, expansion port, CD-ROM, Ethernet, blocking port. So that's them, each port on the sides. So I'll go ahead, power them up, kind of go over the keyboards, and we'll go from there. Thank you. Alright, so I've powered them on. I'm just going to go through some quick aspects of each one, and then I'll throw up a video bench test that I like to do just to show how well it performs. So this is the Dell. In my previous video I mentioned I'm not a huge fan of the wrist rest and the trackpad. So there's wrist rest has an edge right here, so when you're typing it leaves a mark, at least on my wrist, the way I type. I don't accidentally touch the touchpad though when I'm typing, which is nice. But the buttons aren't raised at all. So with the way I use a touchpad, I usually hit it with my thumb. I'm kind of supported between this line, and I don't, So it's just, I just have to learn how to use it. Keyboard, it's flexible. When you're typing, it kind of, it flexes. I don't know if that comes through in the video real well. But you can see the keyboard moving a bit. It's not my favorite keyboard. It's functional, it works. I know some people don't like the number key and the offset keyboard. All I can say to that is get used to it. Try to find a 15-inch laptop, 15.6-inch laptop that doesn't have it nowadays. So I don't mind it. I've gotten used to it, so it doesn't bother me. But the keyboard itself, it works. It's functional. I can deal with it. Going up here to the screen, That's its specs as far as how Windows scores it. Obviously, I have a spinning hard drive in here. I don't have an SSD, so that's its low point. But everything else is basically about as good as it gets. Without having a truly dedicated gaming machine. So there's that. Now, one thing, I don't know if you can hear it, but periodically the CD-ROM does go to read, and I know all CD-ROMs do that. They just kind of go and check to make sure there's nothing in that, because this is the a slot style instead of the tray. There it went. I don't know if you just heard that, but it kind of goes doot. I find that to be incredibly annoying. Now, that is going to be swapped out for a hard drive caddy. So if you swap out for a hard drive caddy, you don't have a CD-ROM drive anymore. It's not an issue. I also wanted to go over what you get as like recovery media for the laptop, which, especially for me working in IT, yet trouble users, people who have problems constantly with their computer, sometimes it's just nice to go in, wipe it, start fresh, good to go. You know that you have all your drivers, and they may not be most up to date, but at least it's what it came with, so that you can get up and going very quickly. This comes with recovery media for Windows 8. It does not come with a CD for Windows 7, which obviously I do not have Windows 8 installed. It's Windows 7, that's the way it comes. You can recover from the recovery disk. You can make your own disks, which is what I'm going to do if I do end up keeping this laptop. But what comes from the factory is just a Windows 8 recovery. So I wish it came with both. Now going over to the HP, you can see the size difference between the Dell touchpad and the HP touchpad. This is a much nicer touchpad overall. As I was saying before, it'd be nice if this was recessed on the Dell. It is recessed on the HP, so it makes using this touchpad much more enjoyable. Where with the Dell, I feel like this is really only meant to be used if you forgot your mouse and you have to use it in a pinch. This feels like, oh yeah, it's meant to be used with this computer. You're meant to use this touchpad, it is correct for this type of computer. It's not click. You still can tap and double tap just like any other touchpad, but the touchpad itself is not the button. You do still have the dedicated buttons, which I truly appreciate. I like the keyboard on the HP much better. It doesn't flex like it does on the Dell. It's a lot more sturdy. I like the keys on the Dell. The shape of the keys is a little bit better, but it flexes, and that can get old. So this does not flex. It's a much sturdier keyboard in that regard. Again, it has the number key. I don't like this with the number pad on the Dell. Not the number pad, but the arrow keys. I don't use them very often, but when I do, and because I don't use them very often, I'm looking for something more specific. One thing I did want to mention, on both the Dell and the HP, you have your control key on the outside, and then the function key, and then the Windows key. HP, control key, function key, Windows key. Come over to the Lenovo, which I'll get to in just a moment, but I want to show this. It has a function key, then the control key, and then the Windows key. For, I don't know, 3 months, I kept hitting the function key when I wanted control and the control key when I wanted the function. So that's something that it's taken me a while to get used to. But I will gladly go back to the control key being this outside key, because on every other keyboard, here's the keyboard I use when I'm using it here at my desk. Control key is that last key. So this drives me nuts, and I'm going to be glad to not have this set up anymore. I know it's minor, still drives me insane because I push the wrong key constantly. This does have a dedicated Wi-Fi button here, mute, power buttons over here. Doesn't have dedicated volume keys. Those are function keys, but that's okay for me for those to be a function key, because it's not something I use a whole lot. This isn't a media machine. This is my work computer. So now to go up to the specs here, there's the scores. One thing, the Dell has an AMD Fire Pro video card. This has a NVIDIA Quattro, which is actually, you can get the Quattro in the Dell. It's more expensive, but the AMD, I'll show you here in a minute, I believe performs better. So we'll see that here in a few moments, but I like the AMD better, and I would like it in the HP. Again, I didn't order this. I don't know if it can come with the AMD or not. If it does, I would recommend it personally. That's a personal preference. You can see here the AMD gets a slightly better score for the 3D graphics and the desktop performance, 7.1 versus 7.0, and that equates to about 4 to 5 frames per second when really being pushed. So let me go over to my Lenovo. Alright, there's the scores. As far as the processor and memory, they're basically max. The desktop performance for Aero and 3D graphics is pretty close together. I mean, within 2 points for the 1 to 2 points for the desktop, and with same as the HP, and just 1 point under the Dell. I believe this has the same Quattro video card in it that the HP does, so that would be, or if it's not the same, it's similar. So we'll go ahead now, and I installed a 3D processing or 3D performance app on here. It's Furmark. Let's go ahead and just get that started. 1920 by 1080. So go ahead and click Burn and Test and go. And I got that up here as well. Burn and Test and go. This one I haven't set up yet. Lenovo, so I need to adjust my burn and test and go. Alright. So they're out, all three of them are going. And you can see their screens and their refresh rates. I don't know why, but on the Dell it's not showing the temperature, and I'll show you that on the other two here in just a moment. But down here on the other two it shows the temperature. But go up here to the frame rates. Come on, focus. There we go. Alright, so the average on the Dell is 13 frames per second. And you can definitely tell. I don't know how it's coming through on the video because, it's video recording a computer screen, which isn't always best, but it's pretty smooth. It has a couple hiccups here and there, but it's pretty smooth. The other thing is this runs much cooler because it has a dedicated fan for the video card and a dedicated fan for the processor. It runs much cooler than the other two. Alright, so coming over here, this is the HP. It's getting 9 frames per second, so that's 4 frames per second less. You definitely can tell it's a lot choppier. I just come along here, you can see the difference between the two screens of the smoothness of the Dell on the left and the choppiness of the HP on the right. I'd put them side by side, but the HP vents here on the side, and this gets very hot. That vent port does. So, it's just not as smooth. And then come over to the Lenovo, again, 9 frames per second, and about the same choppiness. Again, like I said, I believe they're running the same video card. While that's running, I just want to give it a minute. One thing I forgot to mention with the HP is you get 2 sets of recovery media. This one's Windows 8, this one's Windows 7. So you actually get 2 sets of CDs to recover the system, which is something that I really do appreciate, because you get your drivers, you get all your software. Now it does obviously install the bloatware, but HP is usually pretty good. I haven't recovered from these yet. Typically with the HP you can go through and select which software you're going to install or not install when you're installing from the recovery media. So you can usually decide that. Now, just coming over here to the Lenovo, this is almost flatlined at about 60 degrees centigrade as far as the GPU processor core temperature. Come over here to the HP. I ran this for about an hour yesterday, and I was up to 83, 84. Right now it's at 64, just running for, what's this been? About 3 minutes, 3¼ minutes. So it's getting up there at 64. It got up to, like I said, 83, 84 degrees. It wasn't running anything else in the background. See, it's still climbing up to 65. It is good to note the keyboard itself does not get that warm. I mean, it's warm. You can tell it's on, but it's not uncomfortable. It's not unpleasant. It's just, you know, it's on. You know, same thing with the Dell. It's definitely is a lot cooler than the HP, but it gets on. You can tell it's on. It's warm. One thing to note though, because it does run cooler, has the 2 separate fans, that both fans running are about the same noise as the single fan on the HP, but it can run just one fan at a time. So if it's the processor that's being taxed, or if it's the video card that's being taxed, it can run one or the other as needed. So that's definitely is a big plus in that it will make it quieter in general. So but the HP, again, the bottom stays fairly cool, the keyboard stays fairly cool, bottom stays fairly cool, keyboard stays fairly cool. This vents out the side, this vents out the back. The Lenovo, kind of same thing. It gets a little bit warmer than the HP and the Dell, especially on the bottom, but it does vent out the side here. So, see, this is 61. This is already at 66. So the HP definitely gets hot quick, whereas the Dell does. I ran this for an hour as well. It got up to about 6 degrees and just kind of stayed there. It never really went above 60 degrees. So, anyways, I'll go ahead, throw these videos up, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll answer as best as I can. Thank you.